copy is not loading up. It says excellent connection. Did I press start on here? I think I did. Oh man, is this whole thing just...
Do you need to hit
work?
start streaming as well?
Oh, here we go. YouTube's live. Load up.
We're cooking with gas.
It's on. And jump to the other one. I've got it on YouTube and the link's in the chat. If it's on YouTube, and we've got the audio coming out too. That's going to be fun. Sam here, and we've got Mark Windsor and Liam Thierens and the UTMB festival. And as a bonus, still high 50k, so we might be able to have a
bit of fun.
Chat about that at the end too. I'm really sorry if the thing drops out a little bit because I'm trying to stream to 2 platforms at once. I'm not sure if I've got the bandwidth for it, but if it's really laggy, let me know, and I might drop Facebook and just jump to YouTube. The CCC race, in the comments, we'll probably chat about at the end, if there are any. And yeah, let's get into the footage and we can just chat as we go, eh?
Sounds good.
I've got about 15 minutes worth of just random footage, so a little bit of the scenery from the week, and then a little bit of the race footage until my GoPro. This is Chamonix. So I thought I'd share you a little bit of the ambience and the environment to the area. This was my first time in Chamonix. Which was pretty amazing, you can see I went up the Aiguille de Midi.
Oh, it's so hot.
Yeah, goes up to like 2,400 meters. No, sorry, 3,800 meters at the top, which is pretty epic. And there's some pretty awesome views up there. So that was pretty cool to see. That was pretty cool. So
it's like Budrum.
Yeah. Just wanted to try and get a little bit of altitude exposure while I was up there. Just to see if I could do like mini acclimatization. Did some, and yeah.
So that's obviously pretty cool there.
It was literally pretty cool. It was like 5 degrees or something like that. So pretty cold. One that I did from the plan, which is at 25 of the mountain, is where the race goes, and that's at what is it? It's a similar height, but it doesn't go down as fast. But that one was like 1,200 meters and 6k. So I got some pretty serious DOMs. I did that on the Tuesday that I hung out with there. Just a lot of people out and around the town. Like I think outside of the winter period, Chamonix is just probably the second most busy. Like during this UTMB week, it's just packed, and you can see there's some Hoka runners doing their shakeouts. There was tons of shakeout runs around the place, which was pretty nuts. So it was pretty cool. Pretty amazing vibe to be in part of. This is another shakeout run that I did through the town.
So it doesn't look cool, like everyone's just wearing shorts, t-shirts.
Oh yeah, no, it's actually quite warm. Yeah, it wasn't cold. It was cold in the early morning.
Yeah. Yeah,
but most of the time it was actually quite warm. So that was some peer TTL finishes. Petit Trot, which is actually like a 5-day unassisted 2-person sort of event, which is pretty nuts.
Did it freak you out a little bit that someone died in that?
Yeah, they didn't say too much about what was going on there. Died.
It's nothing like that.
It?
Yeah, I found out it was at like Gale, like in the and
it's a 5-day event.
Yeah.
When you're getting all excited and you think, oh, hang on, this is
Hey Tom, good to see someone's on the trail and nothing serious at ever.
It's participation events anyway, so.
Yeah. So where were we at? So I was just cutting about the race atmosphere.
Are you sharing the footage yet?
Yeah, I am. Yep. And so these are some of the first. That's the first female OCC runner. This is the first 3 females. That's Danny Marino. She was really amped that she got 3rd there, so that was really cool. And that's Ali Mack, another American. And the other thing that was cool was I was staying with an American there, Austin, and he was friends with Ali Mack, so we kind of chatted with them afterwards. They're in the on-running team. And then I've got some actual footage from the race. So let's jump to that. So this is the bus, because the CCC doesn't start in Chamonix. It goes
In Courmayeur.
You have to catch a bus from Chamonix to Courmayeur. This is Courmayeur. So it's actually really beautiful.
So how long is
over
that bus ride?
Oh, it's like half an hour. It's not very far, luckily. Traffic wasn't too bad out there.
It's less than what I had to do for Coast to High.
That's my mate Chris,
who
was running. So hung out with him beforehand, which was cool, and Mitch.
I think I saw on Insta
he got a whistle for her, which was pretty funny.
It's in all Solomon packs though. I don't understand how.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty cool. So this is like the start line. Sorry Mum, she says there's buffering going on. But yeah, just do what we can. So this is the start of the race. Mounted GoPro footage.
So those tags are on the back, are they like in addition to your race bib?
So you have these tags that have got your country and your name on so people can see you. There's Cecilia warming up. So Cecilia had a cracker day. She finished like 2, so that was pretty epic.
Sounds like that makes the difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, so this is like the start of the climb, which is actually in a couple of K in. The pole's already started.
Shoe jacks.
Yeah, they're like calling out the brands, trying to do like a recap of who's wearing what shoes. That was pretty funny. Yeah, a lot of looking at people's butts for probably an hour worth of climbing.
Okay.
So this was 35 minutes in that started, and then it just.
But that's probably good, because otherwise, if they weren't there, you would have probably gone out too quick, sort of thing. You probably need them there to. Yeah,
exactly. And there was a bit of chatting going on. It opened up a little bit on this climb. Okay. So this first climb overall took an hour 45. Well, you all have to carry a fair amount. I actually overdid it. Because I was unsupported, I had like 10 hours of Infinite in my pack, and I did too much Infinite in the pack. It was too concentrated. So that was a bit of a silly experiment to be doing on race day.
So
I didn't
there's
really
no
have
drop
a backup.
bags?
No drop bags. There was lots of lots of nutrition at the aid stations, like food and Coke and all kinds of stuff. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, on the top. But I was actually quite taken aback from the quite narrow and rutted. Yeah. And so I had been expecting runnable trail, and there was not really very runnable trail. So
just when you see I know the elevation, but the times, the time that you ran and then the time that you'd expected something like Blackwell, I know that it's a lot hillier, but also
the parts you can switch the brain off, is there?
Yeah, it was pretty tough. The whole thing was harder than I thought it was going to be. Just like the altitude especially, and then the technicality of the trails was more than I expected, so it was a bit rough. This is over the top of the Tête de la Tron from here.
Yeah, wow, that is pretty technical.
And yeah, you can see it wasn't runnable sections in there. Like the fastest people run 18 minutes for that section. So actually maybe it's not quite 5K. Yeah, so.
So we've got to hear about what you had on the playlist in those headphones as well.
That was a bit of a fail, because my headphones. So basically, just after this section, you might see some photos. Yeah, it started raining, and so then basically, it rained. So if you go back there. So basically, just after this section,
you get the sound.
Yeah, I've got the backup sound there. It's going well. But yeah, it rained, and there was lightning and thunder going on nearby. So it was a bit gnarly.
They didn't
frame them yet.
I've run in the rain heaps.
Yeah, I've run. But yeah, so it was a bit nuts. And so then I had no music for the whole time. So that was really frustrating. If I get a low point mentally, then I put some music on and it kind of gets me out of it. But I didn't have that. So when I got pretty tired, I had nothing. As in I didn't have any. So
backup set of headphones?
Yeah, I realised I should have had my wired headphones with me. And my as you see, my GoPro ran out of battery very quickly too. So that was a bit big.
Headphones and cameras and all this sort of stuff where you're already carrying enough stuff, like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
And just concentrating on...
board and share what you've done, and versus just
getting it done.
Get out there. And there was a little aid station at Arnuvar, and then there's the second big climb, which is called Col de Grand.
Using the poles in your arms, or...
I think it was just the altitude. Yeah, it's just the altitude.
So just your lungs and just breathing.
Feeling generally tired.
Yeah, like in Australia, and to be able to go to the Alps and perform well.
Yeah.
And you see that like with other people that, but yeah, the altitude, we just don't have that kind of altitude here.
No, yeah, it was hard. So altitude just is really hard. So you're right. So yeah, you can see like when the
so they had live cams, did they?
Yeah, the cams caught me going through the different ones, and
such good footage for like.
Yeah, so you can see that I slowed down. This was at La Folie, so it's 40k, and I was knackered. This was coming into Champélac, so I actually got a little bit of energy between La Folie and Champélac. It's like 40 to 50k. It's actually a lot more runnable, so that was actually a big plus. But then it just kept going. Like after Champélac to Trion was the next. So basically there was like a big aid station, then there'd be a big climb, and then there'd be a descent and another aid station after that. And so basically from Champélac at 53k, there was 3 big climbs with long descents in the middle after that, and then an aid station and then another climb. So the Monte Bovine, which was the climb after Champélac, was actually like gnarly, like really steep and just really long and just like tiring as hell, you know. And then the descents I really enjoyed, so like got the energy back on the descents. And then basically at Trion, which was the one before this one, I was just like a bit dead. I was like, oh man, this is killing me. And after Trion, I actually hooked up with a Kiwi guy who was also having trouble in the same way I was. So basically all us Australians were in the same boat. We were all just struggling with the altitude and just the steepness of the climbs, because it's just so hard to train for that here.
But because I think when we were speaking about it before the race, so I think the research and from I guess your general sort of discussions was that altitude shouldn't be that much of an issue at that height. Was it just when you're sort of getting up to the top of the climbs? Yeah, so
because the bottoms were around 1,200-1,300 meters probably, and the tops are around 2,100 meters. So that was what was the hard part, was coming over the tops. So probably from about 1,700-1,800
I guess meters. Once you're already tired anyway from
and
climbing up to there.
You're like 10 hours into the race, you're just starting to get really tired. So
if you had a flat marathon, like you could still be running quite well. But when you're already in a race that's going to test you anyway, and then you chuck that altitude in, then it's going to hurt.
Yeah.
Not to mention, like, you cannot train here to do climbs like that. We just don't have anything high enough.
Tom said how much we were able to run on the uphills. Basically, as soon as I got to those steep bits where it's like 3 or 4k of just like really steep, there was no running at all. It was just really, really just like hiking and just trying to maintain forward momentum, because even moving...
So did you use the poles the whole time?
Oh yeah, all those climbs I was poles out hiking. There was no running going on, and that was for over an hour at a time at least. Well, yeah, probably an hour was most of the climbs.
Is there any poleless folk out there?
I did see one or two.
Just the elites sort of thing?
I barely saw any. So I got over the top of Tête de la Tranche in around 400th. And by Champélac I'd got myself into around 250th, and I kind of held that until Valacine, and then Valacine I started losing positions, so that was the dark part portion here. So this is Trion, so there was another big gnarly climb after this one. Unfortunately no footage of that, but basically then went over another big hill, which wasn't too bad, but it was just long and steep. It was like 800 meters of ascent, but we just hiked the whole thing. and then there was a nice long descent, which were actually really nice and quite runnable.
So it's gone to nighttime now.
Yeah.
What time does it get dark?
So it was like 9 p.m.
And so you obviously.
So I've been going for about 12 hours then.
Yeah. So you had a good few hours in the dark sort of thing.
Yeah. So we were like wondering how long it was going to take us to get to the finish, and it kept going out. You know what I mean? But it ended up being 1 a.m. that we finished. So it was like 4 hours of darkness, and it was just that gnarly stuff at the end that was really killer. Jill said, "Would you do it again? And if so, what would you change in your training?" So yeah, I'd love to do it again. I did have a point during the race where I was like, I'm not doing any more running ever again. I'm done. Like, why would I do ultras? This is insane. But it got better afterwards, and I was like, oh, actually, that was quite fun. Yeah. After I finished, I was like, actually, it wasn't that bad.
I'm guessing it's logical now to do the other 70k.
Yeah, exactly. Do UTMB.
Yeah.
I think I'd like to have a crack at UTMB. It's like going to be slower and harder, I guess.
Sleep deprivation, that really kick, because that's a long day for you, whereas it's not a weekend of running like some people.
And obviously, like, you know, the only person I know from here that's gone over is Nick Bamford. You know, look. Obviously, he's an epic runner.
Yeah.
He had an epic training block, and I haven't heard exactly his rundown. But at the same time, you know, even somebody of that caliber, you know, can still not, you know, he finished it, which is amazing, but he didn't exactly crush it by his standards. So
yeah, no, we all had a hard time. So there was like 4 or 5 of us Aussies that went over together. So it was Nick Bamford, John Walsh in the UTMB, me, Mitch, and Chris in the CCC, and it was hard for all of us. It was like crazy hard. Just like none of us were prepared for the altitude, particularly, and the steepness of the climbs. That was the hard part for everybody.
So as Jill mentioned, what would you change in your training? Obviously,
go to altitude and train there.
Yeah, like obviously live for 3 months in Chamonix would be a great thing. But obviously, if that isn't possible, guess what else can you do?
Yeah, I know, not too much.
Didn't work for Jim Walmsley, so he was there for 4 months or so, I think.
Yeah.
I think he bonked. Like
it didn't though. Like,
he did all right.
He
did better than he has done. And like the races were insane, like so competitive and so fast.
I think the time that he did could have won it on other years.
Yeah. I mean, like Mathieu and Killian both went under 20 hours, so that was crazy. Like I think, you know, Cecilia, she did really well. You know, she redlined basically. She said she was running hard the whole day, and I think she prepared herself really well. Like she trained on most of the course. So yeah.
And I think I saw on her Insta or something stories, which was like a month or so before the race. She's like, "Oh, these climbs are, you know, hard on the legs type thing," and you know that was obviously a month before prepping on it. So I guess that
was she there that long before? How long before? Because I know.
Well, I think she was there like a good month or so before, and then she, you know, went back to Finland and then went back for the race or something.
Yeah, because I saw she's running in my hometown, in the UK. So, but yeah, obviously is probably a bit more familiar with those trails than Sam. And it's.
Who's that?
Cecilia.
Oh right, okay, yeah. No, so I mean, I think that like specific preparation was probably the lesson I took out of it, like overall, and like Nick and John Walsh and all the guys all said the same thing. Like being specifically prepared would have been like the big difference.
But really to do that, like you can't really do it in taper. Like you can't just go, I'll take an extra week before the race. It's like, well, yeah, how much is, I don't know.
It's an interesting question though, isn't it? It's like, okay, what can you do? Dad of 3, live on the Sunshine Coast, where it's not high altitude. There are hills, but not big, long hills. What do you do? Because that's the reality you live in, and you're not going to be there for 3-4 months. So you'll probably want to do it again, and you'll probably still be living here. So
well,
I think
I'd like to see if I could get the kids out of school and spend like 6 weeks over there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like the area, as you see, like this area is stunning.
It's so amazing.
Yeah.
So like there's a lot to do there.
Part of the world.
It's a pretty amazing place.
I think on a podcast I heard Ian Sharman talking about like, you know, ways to approach races like hard rock that are, you know, I think that's almost all at altitude or even higher, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he was pretty much his advice to anyone doing that race is don't, unless you can afford to spend, you know, 2 or 3 months over there, you know, training at altitude.
Yeah. I think it's a great challenge, but
obviously I think CCC is not quite that high, but yeah, obviously a bit pinchy as well.
Pinchy.
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely inclined to do more mountain races just because they're hard, but you know, now I've done one, I know what I'm in for, so I'd do another one. You know what I mean? Even if it's not like the one in Europe, like there's cool races all around the world. You know, Thailand, Hong Kong. Like there's the islands all over the place. Like there's tons of really cool races.
So Simon's keen to know about the
sorry, Simon,
the buffet at the aid
didn't
stations.
Answer your question. If you're still there, Simon. No, I didn't have any cheese or meats in the aid stations. I wasn't game.
Was there actually meats at
there
the
were.
end?
There was a whole range of things.
Stuff.
There was definitely. Yeah. I mean, there wasn't. I
like
can't remember.
who's gonna want to down
There
meat?
was cheese for sure. I can't remember meat. There was like various biscuits and other types of things. But so like my main source of fuel that I would take outside of what I had on me with the Infinite, and I had a couple of gels, was Coke. I drank so much Coke, like more Coke than I'd ever drunk. Like you come into the aid stations and they're like, do you want fizzy water or Coke? And I'm like, okay, I'll have some Coke, you know. Well, they have normal water too, but like, it's like Coke really helped. Like,
during an adventure. Fizzy water.
Yeah.
It's like, I hate the bubbles and there's no nutrition in it.
It's like fizzy water or Coke, so can I have flat Coke?
Yeah, so no, I didn't have the Coke, but I'm sorry, I didn't have any. I did have some fizzy water, that was good, but I didn't have any cheese or meat. So I had I had some fizzy water, Coke, and I had a lot of fruit too. You know, like watermelon and orange and stuff.
Did you ever speak to Dylan? Who lives here, about his UTMB ordeal?
Yeah, no, I didn't.
So his nutrition plan went out the window when he couldn't stomach anything other than Coke, and I think he went through 30 odd litres of Coke.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
In 40 hours.
They really love Coke there.
He's probably. I wonder if he's ever had one again. I'm pretty sure I offered him one the first time I saw him post race.
Simon said he's a big fan of those buffets.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if you were going a bit slower and you were happy to take your time, like, I'm not sure about Chris. Chris and Mitch, they ended up, because they weren't sure how long it was going to take them either, they were thinking maybe under 20, and it ended up taking 22. So everyone took at least a couple hours longer than they thought they were going to take. But I think they had time to sit down and have a bit more food. And they were kind of like in survival mode. So I went into survival mode probably 50k. About 50 to 70k. I was like, okay, I'm not going to be able to hit my time anymore. I'm just going to bloody get this done. And that's when I met up with Will, the Kiwi, and we kind of got stayed together from there on, and just sort of kept each other sane because it was just getting pretty mentally challenging. But yeah, I think everyone went into that. Simon, are you going to UTMB as soon as you can? I'm guessing. He's saying he's going to go for 46 hours. So Nick was going for sub 30. You know, ideally like close to 24 if he could, but he ended up doing 34.
Yeah.
And John Walsh wasn't sure how he was going to go, and he ended up doing pretty well. He did 35 hours and got 6th in his age group, so that was a really good result for John.
Yeah, that's really good.
And I don't know if I'm game to try and show more video because it seems like it's been really choppy, but I do have some really cool footage. I'll try and show it maybe in a bit of my friend Austin, who's from Colorado, who came and raced. He obviously lives at altitude. Well, you know, sort of like near Boulder, like nearly sort of 1,700 meters. Yeah, and he's done Leadville, and he smashed his race and ended up coming in like 27.5 hours and got like top 100. and he was just like having a great day because he just went like 300th and just kept dropping places, like just kept picking people up the whole way through, and it was just like he was just motoring. So he had an amazing day. But I think maybe being acclimatized to altitude probably had a bit of a say in that for him. Andy said, what was your mental strategy when we were getting low to keep pushing? I would say my mental strategy was, I'm just going to finish.
But I guess, did you have those, did it catch you off guard a bit? Like, did you have the answers? Because obviously that question of why am I doing this is always going to come out during the race. And did that pop up, and did you have an answer prepared already is probably the...
So I'm always aware that I could end up feeling a bit low. And, you know, like I messaged my family at like 40k, which is like 5.5 hours or so, 6 hours even. It took a while just to do those first 2 climbs because of the technicality of the downhills as well. And I messaged them and I said, this is going to take a lot longer than I thought. Like I was thinking I'd get it under 14, but I was like, it's going to take me 15 hours at least. And so I kind of just had to make that mental readjustment that I was going to be out there for longer than I anticipated.
It's hard.
And then eventually when it came to getting to Valacine, which is that dark place, you know, when it got dark, and we had the last big climb to go.
Literally and figuratively.
The big climb to go. We were just like, okay, even if we have to crawl, it's literally like less than 20k to the finish from there, but it's the hardest 20k because the Tête au Vent is like, I'm going to see if I can fast forward to that. The Tête au Vent is just gnarly steep. I'm going to see if I've got the footage here. Yep, here. So this is the Tête au Vent, so you can see the steepness of the
doesn't look too bad to me.
Okay. Well, when you're coming up to that in the dark, it's bloody brutal, you know. Like those climb, it's just going, it looks ridiculous. Like it looks like you're just going straight uphill. It doesn't look that bad here, but it just goes straight up.
Looks
there.
Fine to me, man.
It's like an opportunity to have a walk.
Just run up there. Yeah. No, but like in that shot, Killian and Mathieu are going up there and they're hiking up it, and they've got like an entourage following them. And we went to try and park and watch it, but it's so packed. It's like the Tour de France.
Is that the bit in their race, maybe 10k to go, like where they need that last real tough climb, and then it looks like Emu Mountain? It does a bit. Is that the bit where Killian had just started to pull away? Because I remember watching it.
I think he might have pulled away around there.
Yeah, and you're watching thinking, why is he walking? And then you just see the angle. It's like, it must be steep.
It's crazy steep. Yeah. Like it was like if you took a wrong step and fell backwards, you'd be falling for a while. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like it was pretty gnarly. So that was kind of interesting. And the worst thing about this is the tops didn't seem to come for a long time. It just seemed to just be constantly going up. Like after you kind of got to the top of the steep stuff, it just kept coming. And you're like, well, where's the top? And then eventually you got to like the Tête au Vent, which is like the official top of that piece. And then there's like 3k of like basically what seemed like moonscape, right? It's just like big rocks that you can't really run on, and you're just kind of rock hopping for like a couple of k.
Yeah, wow.
So that's that couple of k took almost everybody at least 25-30 minutes, even the fast guys. Just like very unrunnable. But then you get to La Flégère and then you can run downhill, and the downhill to the finish is pretty reasonable, which is nice. So you get into town and it's like a k to go.
Were you able to do that though? I remember thinking that about 6-foot track, for example. You think, just a nice 2k downhill to finish. And then you're just like trying not to fall off the side of the cliff.
Yeah.
Because you're so tired. And that's obviously 44k race, not 100k in the Alps.
Yeah, so I was able that's the thing, like all the runnable stuff, I was running, I was able to run, like my legs didn't give out. In between La Folie and Chamonix, I passed a bunch of people because I was running the whole thing, running the downhill as well. It was just like when it got really steep and it got to altitude and it got super technical, that's when I really struggled.
It's funny, like, because you say about altitude, and like we see it with a lot of other people, but I know how fit you are. Like, you're fitter than the average, even just from your cycling days. And in theory, the fitter athletes should be better at altitude.
Well, I mean,
really
I've been
play
to
out
altitude
that way.
before and it's never bothered me. I did feel a tiny bit sick, especially on the very last climb. Like, I was starting to feel a bit queasy, and I wasn't sure it was whether what I ate or whether it was just altitude sickness. But Will, who I was with, got like a really bad headache. So he had like proper altitude sickness, which it took him about half an hour to get over.
When you got back down lower altitude, is that what fixed it, or?
I think he kind of got used to it. Like, once we got to the top and we were just going along the top of the Tête de Vent to La Flégère, that's when he sort of started to feel okay again. I think it was just like going up, because you're actually going up quite quickly as well. He just felt like crap, so it was a bit gnarly for him. So
do we have any more of this footage?
So let me just go back and I'll show you.
I need to show you finishing.
I do have me finishing.
Otherwise we don't believe you.
So this is my mate. I'll show you finish. I'll see if the stream... Hold on, you guys. It may drop out. If it drops out, it will be back. I'll just pause it. So that was me and my mate Will coming into the finish.
Kicking down.
Hold on, you guys. It may drop
Cute.
out. No, we were just like so ecstatic to be finished.
Did you duck him on the line though?
No, not at all. I think he actually got the position in front of me, but we didn't care at that point.
Get him on chip time.
No.
Oh, that's so epic.
Very happy to be done. It was good to be finished, to tell you. This is my mates Chris and Mitch coming into the finish as well.
Oh, so they ran the whole thing together, did they?
They met up and ended up running together. So they ended up running most of it together. I think that was the last 60k or so. So they ran the whole thing. So they were pretty stoked.
So
really cool.
that is the same finish line.
It's all the
UTMB
same. They
as
leave
well.
it
Like
the
that
same
they're all
week.
and for OCC.
And then I did some more Wim Hof. Actually, I'll tell you what, the cold water worked a treat. Like, it was so good.
Yeah.
And then there was also like a thermal spa, so you'll see that in a second. That was really cold. And this was the thermal spa after that. So I did I spent like several hours with Nick Bamford and Cecilia and her partner Tom in going through like saunas and spas all afternoon.
Oh, what else? What else would you want to do?
I think it helped our recovery a lot.
That's amazing.
I highly recommend using...
Sounds like we worked harder staying here at home.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I was just eating like a lot of meat and cheese and all kinds of stuff. It was pretty fun. Okay, so you might want to see this. This is Killian running past.
Who?
So this is Killian running into the finish. So I saw him finishing.
Legend.
Yeah, he was just cruising at that point, under 20 hours. But this is Mathieu coming past next.
He was hammering, wasn't he?
Yeah, look at him. He was moving real well.
Let him go, man.
He was flying. We were like, what the hell? And then Tom Evans.
Yeah.
And I think I got a shot after this. Yeah. I met Tom Evans in the cafe like the next day. I was like, Tom Evans is awesome. I'm a big fan of Tom Evans.
He looks tired.
Yeah, I know he does. He does look tired. You're right. I think it was a big day for him. But yeah, it was also interesting because so speaking about those buffets, I just saw a video earlier about the pros and what they were eating, like what their nutrition strategy, and they all had like a personal buffet set up by their crews at the aid stations, and Killian and Mathieu in particular had like potatoes and rice and burritos and just like all these like dense carbs. And they just sat down and ate for a while. And I think it was quite common that people would like really get stuck into the.
But that's UTMB, not CCC.
Yeah. But I think that, I did see CCC, they did it as well. It was quite a common strategy to get a lot more carbs at the aid stations, and then have less during the interval.
Do you think that's just so they're not running with as much weight, or do you think that's just because it's sort of better,
I feel like
better
it's
food?
potentially what kind of calories that you feel like eating, because you're out there for a long time, and probably having food in your stomach helps with the altitude too. Just a guess, but that seemed to be quite a common strategy. So that's something I'd probably be aware of next time too, is doing that.
You'd want to practice that though. You want to be there with your rice bags and things.
Yeah.
Rice should go okay.
Yeah, the rice and
potatoes.
Rice is always safe, isn't it?
Yeah. So, but it would be helpful to have a support crew that's going to meet you there. And the pros, the other advantage they've got is there's barely anybody in the aid stations when they get there, so it's empty.
Killian was having blood glucose down and all sorts. The little probes out.
Yeah, I heard he was doing lactose tests and stuff.
Yeah.
Which is nuts. That's pretty cool. What else have I got here? I've got some footage. Oh, so this is Katie Scheid coming in. I'll just play this for a little bit, see how that goes. This is the atmosphere in the race village. This is first female village finisher. So I can't imagine what Killian would have been like. But
it looked crazy on the TV.
So she came in 23 hours 15, which is really fast. And the crowd was just amping it up like it was just gnarly.
I'm surprised to see those barriers, because it didn't look like there were barriers.
Yeah, it looked like there was just literally just parting the people.
Barely doing that.
No, in the main town it was pretty hectic. So and then so that was really cool. I've got some other random footage. It was just really cool. I got a bit emotional watching Katie Scheid finish. It was just such an amazing atmosphere. It was really cool. And then this is the night atmosphere. So the night of UTMB after the first finish had come in, there was so much dancing and stuff going on in town. It was awesome. And this is Austin coming in for the finish at 27.5 hours, and he was just so amped, he was just high, from the whole day, and just he just so pumped the whole time. It was really, really epic.
Yeah, it's so good.
So just so much fun to be there for that, and it was just, I would love to finish UTMB and have that kind of experience too.
So how do you get there? What's the plan?
Next time, how do I go again?
Well, I don't know what you get points-wise for doing CCC for UTMB. I don't know how it works, but
is that different to any other 100k race? Do you get more points because it is CCC?
Yeah. So the race, the way it's going now is who's that? Definitely Austin, living the dream there, Simon. You've got to do the rocks. The UTMB rocks now to get the entry. So basically it means you've got to do one of the UTMB races. So how they've got the series of 25 races. So
but
Tarawera and UTA races.
Yeah, but do you have to do do you have to do another miler, or can you just get a
to get to UTMB you have to do a miler. Yeah, you have to finish the miler.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Because UTK is one of them as well now, isn't it?
To be honest, that's kind of a fair call, because if you're doing UTMB as your first miler, that's a big ask, isn't it?
It's rough.
Yeah, you wouldn't even think of it. That would just be a silly idea. So you have to enter a lottery to get into it. I would definitely recommend.
So you can't pay your way in?
You can. Yeah, so if you've got tons of cash, you can actually pay a sponsor entry, which costs a few $1,000s or something.
But that's not out of reach for a lot of people.
No, yeah.
It's not as if it's list. 50 grand or something.
Probably cheaper than paying for a few race entries under that brand, isn't it?
If it's a bucket list thing, then you could definitely put some cash in to get there. So as Simon said, you've got to do Tarawera or Cozumel to get in.
There are local options.
It's good that there is another one in this country now.
It's good that they've got the Cozzy. Because I guess they've just made that change too, that you have to do a UTMB race to get in.
Well, and Cozzy's probably, the Tarawera's, as far as this standard goes, flat. Like compared to something like this.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing.
At least the miler at Cozzy is somewhat comparable.
Yeah. And I looked at the finish rates, and it was like a 30% DNF, 25 to 30% DNF for both CCC and UTMB.
Yeah,
really the same.
And the TDS was, because it was hotter early in the week when TDS ran, the TDS DNF rate was closer to 40%.
Wow.
Yeah. Cozzy's got less elevation than even Tarawera.
Really?
Wow.
I just presumed it would be hilly.
What's a myth? What did you say?
Well, I assumed. Is he having a laugh, or is that actually the case?
I would trust Simon's judgment.
So would I.
5,000 plus feet. That's certainly not meters, is it?
Well, I don't think Vlad Shatarov, as good as he is, would go and run 14 hours for UTMB, which is pretty sure that's what he did for the miler in Tarawera.
So UTMB is 10,000 meters of elevation, so it's like more than Everest.
By over 2,000, well, just under 2,000 meters.
Yeah, so it's pretty full on. Really? Meters. He reckons 5,000 meters for Tarawera. Miler. It seems quite a lot.
Yeah, but when you think of what, what is it? UTA is 4,500, and that's 100k. So it's by the time you got another 60 k's, you only get another 500 meters.
Well, I got 52 meters in my long run this weekend, so just watch out. That's all I'm saying.
But you do run up Somerset every day.
This is true. But I got a way to go.
Yeah. What other footage you got, Sam?
We're running towards the end of it now. I think just getting Austin finishing. He's doing his little lap of honour there. He got his bloody American flag out. It was really funny actually.
And so,
what else? Let's see what's coming off at the end. Might have a couple of photos. Yeah, so that's my team. That's the crew that we were over there with. So you got Chris, Mitch, me with my eyes closed, and Nick's parents, Austin and John there. So Austin and John and Chris on the right, and then Nick, his mum, Mitch, and me on the left. So that's all the footage I think I've got.
Yeah, and some good food there.
Yeah, we ate a lot of French food, a lot of really nice French food, which was really cool.
And so logically for you, the next race is a sea level.
I'm showing this. Hold on, I've got to cut that over. There's the picture. Sorry.
Sea level, 5k, boiling hot with no incline. That's your logical next race, isn't it?
Yeah. So my next race is going to be Noosa Bolt, 5k. So I discussed with Megan, my coach, and we decided that we wanted to. Well, she agreed that getting speed back in the legs would be a good idea because I've been doing a lot of long, slow, elevation and just like slow running. So yeah.
I want to. Liam can come up with the forfeit that would be if I lost, but if Sam beat me with poles in the Noosa Bolt.
What? Actually take poles with you?
Take poles to the Noosa Bolt.
Everyone else is there with their Olympic tattoos. Tell me they have a buff and some poles.
And a pack.
Yeah.
Hydration pack.
and you'd be racing in flats.
Some cheese for nutrition.
You'll be in flats and everyone else is in vaporflies.
Yeah. I know, I could drag out Mark's old carbon fibre or whatever it's called. Saucony.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah. I was thinking though about us three and finding a race, because as far as three people go, we've got our strengths and weaknesses between the three, but you could probably pick a race for either of us that one would win over the other. And
you need to do like 3 races and like come up with the best combined time or combined point system.
Well, I was thinking having a handicap run on the road up to Montville, which we did before, and we got to see Liam's back quite a bit and it progressively disappear up
Yeah,
into the hill.
yeah.
And there's a burger place at the top, and it could be.
I think I would have to
eating
have a
competition.
really good day. A
Yeah.
really good day to get either a run for you.
Well, I just thought whoever gets there first gets their food paid for, and then obviously there's Run Queensland Daybreak. I thought, well, maybe we could all do something there and put something on the line.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, but I'm doing the marathon.
Are you going to do the marathon at Daybreak?
Yeah. Well, my goal now is to do the Tarawera miler.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've got an entry to the 100k, so I'll running distance over summer regardless.
Well, I've got an entry for the 100 and I'm contemplating the miler, but
really,
I'm
you've got to get 100k done first.
Well, I've never done that. Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to wait until I've finished UTA, and I'll probably let it sink in for a week or two, and then see what I want to do.
If I could possibly do the marathon at Daybreak, then I would. I'm 2 from 2 for it so far, but I don't think that would happen a third time. And I'd also probably have a 3-week-old. Which is not ideal. So
no, newborns are the easiest. They just sleep.
Yeah, but Chloe's probably still at home putting the kids to bed now.
Yeah,
that'll be just my job.
It's the other ones that are the problem.
Yeah. But I'd love to do that because I think it's we all like to race. We all want to beat each other, but we all enjoy the process of doing it.
I reckon that the Beerwah races, the Daybreak and at night, I don't know, they're some of the most fun.
Oh yeah, they are the most fun. Props to Run Queensland. Simon is watching. The Run Queensland events are in great fun. Great. Chloe's tuned in.
Sounds like the kids are in bed. I don't know. Chloe, are you led in the girls' bed just waiting for them to sleep whilst on Facebook?
Alright, so I'm doing the babysitter memo, Chloe. Alright, well I'll take the newborn.
Liam,
I'll take the newborn over the twins.
Simon said, Liam, are you in the 100k for you?
Yeah,
yes,
that's the plan.
So. Yeah. So,
well, I reckon from both of us, we should say congratulations on. You've been planning it a long way out, and you've now sat here with all the merch. It would really shit if you sat here. I don't know if you get this before or after.
I bought this. Yeah, I know. That was.
Did you buy it after?
I can't remember.
Because I've got a couple of race shirts that I didn't complete, and I hate it.
Yeah.
So you get to wear it with pride.
I'll wear my Yandina 50 one, and I didn't finish.
Do you get Yandina 50 points for completing the Triple C?
What do you mean 5?
Because obviously
entry into Yandina 50. Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, like my points and my general performance at CCC was pretty low relative to my Australian performances, and I think that's common across all the Australians. It's like we all underperformed just because of the difference in terrain. So there was a German girl, Tanya, who was in the video briefly, who I met on the bus, and she ran 15 hours, and she passed me on Grand Col Ferret, looking really good on the climbs, but she didn't like the runnable stuff. She just liked the climbing, So she's from northern Italy, where it's like lots of those kinds of climbs.
Yeah. Because I was going to ask the question the other way around, like getting, if getting somebody from altitude and that does a lot of vert, if we take them to a race over here, do they underperform? Like, is it?
I think that they would, because like I was relative
like
to my climbing, I was doing really well on the runnable stuff, but on the climbs and the steep stuff and the altitude, I sucked. So I think that people over there who are good at the climbs and the steep stuff and the altitude would probably do relatively poorly in a flat race, like what we've got here.
So I was asking the question of Chloe whether she wanted to hear it or not over the weekend, and obviously we were both watching this. We watched Triple C, but we watched UTMB, and it was incredible. Like to watch a 170k race and it actually be interesting. Kudos to them.
Yeah, that's true. They did a really good job with the camera.
What do you reckon Killian would run at Blackwall?
I mean, Killian's fast regardless.
Yeah.
Like, he's just a fast guy. Like, because he's just got insane aerobic capacity.
7
hours. He'd probably run like 9 hours or less.
I've seen like his name, like the record on the B course was 9:06, Charlie Boyle.
Yeah,
so my prediction was when you take Jim Walmsley at a faster time, we were around 7:23, I think it was. So I reckon Killian would go 7:40 at Blackwall.
Right. Yeah.
Simon, make it happen.
Yeah, he would smash it. For sure.
Yeah, we got Dean Carnassus there, didn't we? But he had a bad day, didn't he? So.
Not quite the same.
Yeah, Blackwall kicked his ass, didn't it? So,
yeah, I mean, like the way that they can run technical trails. Even like I was looking at 7.5 hours. Simon reckons.
Yeah. Prove it.
Even what's his name? Scotty Hawker.
Yeah.
Yeah, like his time at CCC was like 10 hours and a bit, right? And that's a way harder race than Blackwall. So I reckon, he'd be going 8 hours for Blackwall for sure. The way that they can run those trails, like that are really hard.
I know, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it.
He averaged like 5-minute Ks for all the runnable, which means the non-climbing stuff in CCC. And that's why I was like, it's probably quite runnable, but it wasn't runnable. They're just freaks. So.
Yeah. Congratulations, Sam.
Yeah. Thanks,
good job, man. It's,
thanks, you guys, for coming for the roundup.
Pleasure.
How are you feeling, Liam? You had a 50k race on the weekend.
Yeah.
How did it go?
Oh, lots of fun. Yeah. It was a bit of a B race, prep for UTA. Sort of took it easy at the start and turned it on at the end and felt pretty good. So
you finished super strong. Yeah. It's a shame you shouldn't go out a little bit harder. You could have been.
Well, I was just saying to Mark before we got in, I think if I absolutely rinsed myself, I probably could have got another 10 minutes or something, which probably wouldn't have affected my place anyway. So, so no, it was a good outcome, I think. So.
Yeah.
And you've got to race. You've had a few races this year, and you got to just pick and choose and go for some and not go for others. And I think it was a good one not to bury yourself in. All the crowns would be gone, Simon. I'm pretty sure.
I'm okay with that. I'm saying I'm okay.
I've got one on the Blackwall course, and it would be gone for sure.
So you're feeling good for UTA now?
I think so, but I'm going to respect it because I've never done 100Ks before, so finishing is the number one goal.
Smash it.
About 8 weeks now to UTA?
7.
Yeah, not sure.
6 or 7,
Yeah, okay.
Just didn't the winner last year, wasn't it his debut 100K? Just no pressure.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, as a triathlete.
So,
in Vaporfly.
Yeah, professional athlete. Yeah.
No, he was.
But how did you get to go pro?
Nice
to do well.
Yeah, no, we'll be watching. Should be interesting to see how you go. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, if there's no other questions there, guys, we'll wrap it up. Thank you, anyone who has hung out. I think Simon definitely has hung out for the majority of this race, so thanks, Simon. And anyone else. Take it easy, everyone.
See you guys.
See you next time.
Catch ya.
Thank you, anyone who has hung out. I think Simon definitely has hung out for the majority of this race, so thanks, Simon. Call it a race. It's not a race. All right. Take it easy, everyone. See you guys. See you next time. There we go.
You have to end on YouTube as well. Yeah.